Paul DHN, who's dead now. I think he was terrific. Just terrific. And he, child star Roddy McDowall, seemed like the perfect Hollywood gentleman. He collected movies, took beautiful photos, and befriended every major star. But on December 18, 1974, the FBI raided his house with trucks and agents. They seized over 1,000 films and tapes worth $5 million. What they found wasn't just movies. It was evidence of something much bigger. When the dust settled, Roddy had betrayed his closest friends to save himself. Rock Hudson, Elizabeth Taylor, and others never knew what hit them. Roddy McDowall was born on September 17, 1928 in Herne Hill, London. His full name was Roderick Andrew Anthony Jude McDowall. From the start, his life was shaped by the stage. His father, Thomas, worked as a merchant seaman. His mother, Wyford, had always wanted to be an actress, but never made it. So, instead, she poured her hopes into Roddy. By the time he was just 4, Roddy had already won a poetry contest. At 5, he started elocution classes. His mother was determined to make him shine. At age 10, he made his film debut in Murder in the Family. Before even leaving Britain, he had already acted in 16 films. His sister Virginia also pursued acting, and the two of them won nearly every drama award at Hanover Academy during their 4 years there. Then the war came. In 1940, when Roddy was just 12, German bombers filled the skies over Britain. As part of a massive evacuation effort that moved 1.5 million people, his family fled to America under Operation Pied Piper. But because of wartime money rules, they arrived in the U.S. with only $42. His father had joined the military, so it was up to his mother to help them survive. She took Roddy to talent agencies across New York, hoping someone would notice him. That's when Hollywood saw something special. Fox Studios had been searching for a new child star, and Rod's real-life story of escaping war, plus his perfect British accent, made him stand out. His screen test was sent straight to Hollywood. Director William Wyler saw it and instantly knew Roddy had something rare. His first American film was Manhunt in 1941, where he played a boy helping someone escape the Nazis. It felt close to home. That same year, Fox cast him in How Green Was My Valley. He was only 13, but his performance helped the movie beat Citizen Kane for Best Picture at the 1942 Oscars. The studio spent $110,000 building an 80-acre replica of a Welsh mining village for the movie. It took 6 months to build with real coal blocks shipped from Wales. Critics praised Roddy as a young actor who could rival Shirley Temple. He got a 7-year contract. In 1943, Roddy starred in My Friend Flicker, which made up to $2.4 million in rentals. He played Ken, a boy who bonds with a wild horse. He had to learn horseback riding and work with real animals, including one that was accidentally killed during filming. The movie's success was so big that Fox quickly made a sequel in 1945. Audiences all over the world loved him. In 1944, he took on a deeper role in The Keys of the Kingdom, playing the young version of Gregory Peace's priest character. He had to use a Scottish accent and act out heavy emotional scenes, like losing his parents in a storm. At 16, he was already tackling roles with serious depth. Then came Molly and Me in 1945. Roddy played a moody teen who believed his father hated him because he looked like his late mother. It was part comedy, part drama. He had to cry in one scene and do funny impressions in the next. Audiences loved it. Fan mail poured in. People saw him as a real boy going through real struggles, just like many were during the war. But behind the scenes, things weren't easy. Many people wrongly believed he won a Juvenile Academy Award in 1944, but that went to Margaret O'Brien. Still, Roddy had become the breadwinner for his family. By 16, he was earning $2,500 a week, which would be like hundreds of thousands today. He worked 6 days a week and had little time for friends or a normal teenage life. While many child stars lost their money, his mother saved everything. But the pressure made him anxious and homesick. When he grew older, people wondered if he could break away from his child star image. That change started with the Broadway play Compulsion, which ran from October 1957 to February 1958. It was based on the true story of the 1924 killing of 14-year-old Bobby Franks. Roddy played Arthur Strauss, a cold and calculating young man. In 1959, when they made the movie, he was replaced by Bradford Dillman, though his co-star Dean Stockwell stayed on. The real-life killer, Nathan Leupold, even tried to stop the movie from being made, but failed. Still, Rod's performance on stage marked a turning point. In 1960, he played a darker role in the thriller Midnight Lace. His character, Malcolm Stanley, was suspicious and creepy, the complete opposite of the kind boy he used to play. The movie had a $3 million budget and starred Doris Day, who was nominated for a Golden Globe. Rod's presence added tension to every scene, and audiences saw a new side of him. That same year, Roddy joined the original Broadway cast of Camelot as Morad, King Arthur's illegitimate son. He stayed in the role for 284 performances before being replaced. The show ran for 873 performances total. His song, The Seven Deadly Virtues, became a fan favorite. Though the production had problems backstage, it became a hit. His performance earned him a Tony nomination and proved he had real stage talent. Then came The Chaos of Cleopatra in 1963. Roddy played Octavius in what became the most expensive film ever made at the time, with a cost of $44 million, which would be over $450 million today. Fox nearly went bankrupt and had to sell off land that later became Century City. Roddy witnessed the scandal between Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton up close. Taylor nearly died of pneumonia during filming, and $5 million had already been wasted before production moved to Rome. Her costumes alone cost $194,000. Despite all the disaster, the film still made $57.7 million and was the highest-grossing movie of that year. Through it all, Roddy stayed professional. In 1965, he played Matthew the Apostle in The Greatest Story Ever Told, a huge biblical movie that took nearly 3 years to finish. It cost $20 million and had over 100 speaking parts. They filmed in the American Southwest instead of the Middle East. The movie had stars like Max von Charlton H. and Sidney Poitier. Though it only earned $15.5 million and lost money, Rod's performance showed how far he had come. He played Matthew as a thoughtful, questioning man, which allowed him to show emotional and spiritual depth. Roddy McDowall went through something few actors would ever accept. Every morning at 2 o'clock, he had to wake up and sit in a makeup chair for 3.5 hours just to become Cornelius, the gentle chimpanzee archaeologist in Planet of the Apes. The first time they tested the makeup, it took up to 7 hours to apply and another 3 to remove. It was so intense that the studio had to create new types of foam rubber just to let his skin breathe. The makeup wasn't just a mask. It came in pieces. Separate ears, a different chin, layers of hair. Even his lower teeth had to be painted black. He did this 5 days a week for months, and it paid off. The movie came out in 1968 and cost $5.8 million to make. It became a huge hit. Cornelius became his most famous role. His work ethic became legendary. But Roddy didn't stop there. While others went home, he kept filming behind the scenes, using his 8mm camera. He documented the entire makeup process. He filmed cast members laughing, taking helicopter rides to the beach, and sipping drinks through straws while wearing full orangutan faces. In 1974, he even sat through that same long makeup session just to appear briefly on the Carol Burnett Show and show the audience his little documentary. No one else thought to save those moments, but Roddy did. He was capturing history without even realizing it. In 1971, he returned for Escape from the Planet of the Apes, released on May 26. This time, his character shifted. He still played Cornelius, but the story now took place in 1970s Los Angeles. The movie explored time travel and persecution. It wasn't just about action anymore. It was about emotion. Roddy carried the weight of that shift. His performance was so powerful that the film became the most praised sequel in the original series. Critics loved it because it focused on characters instead of just explosions. That was Roddy's doing. When the TV version of Planet of the Apes started in 1974, Roddy came back again, this time as a new character named Galen. The series lasted only 14 episodes, but Rod's presence gave it depth. He helped guide the writing. He even used his knowledge of the long makeup process to help the team work faster. Even though the series ended quickly, he stayed loyal to the franchise and kept protecting its legacy in interviews and documentaries. Roddy wasn't just an actor, he was also a deeply talented photographer. In 1966, he released a bold photography book called Double Exposure. It had 251 pages and featured 98 celebrities. But instead of being written by journalists, every star was described by another famous person. Marlon Brando was described by James Baldwin. Lauren Beale was profiled by Katharine Hepburn. That had never been done before. The book sold incredibly well and made Roddy one of the most trusted photographers in Hollywood. He had been working with magazines like Life and Vogue since 1953. Now everyone wanted to be photographed by him. Then in 1989, he published Double Exposure, Take 2. This one was darker. The most shocking part showed Judy Garland during her worst days. Roddy had been her friend during the filming of The Judy Garland Show in 1963. He photographed her when no one else could, during breakdowns, crying, sick, and tired. The book paired these images with honest quotes from those who saw how the studio destroyed her. MGM had pushed her so hard that by the time she turned 40, her health was gone. The pills, the alcohol, it was all in those photos. Roddy had seen it all up close. One summer in 1965, Roddy filmed a private beach party at his Malibu home. It wasn't just any party. Paul Newman was flipping burgers. Lauren Beale was sunbathing with no top. Rock Hudson, Anthony Perkins, Natalie Wood, and Jane Fonda were all there. Everyone relaxed. They smoked, drank, and behaved like normal people for once. Natalie Wood flirted with several men, even though her husband wasn't there. Roddy never released the footage. He knew it would ruin careers, but those 16mm reels showed Hollywood like we've never seen it. Real, raw, and private. In 1956, Montgomery Clift had a terrible car crash after leaving a dinner party at Elizabeth Taylor's house. He hit a telephone pole and almost died. His jaw, nose, cheekbones, all broken. He needed major surgery, and his face was never the same again. Roddy, who had become his close friend, started taking photos of him just weeks after the accident. The photos showed him trying to smile again, practicing expressions in front of mirrors. He never published them while Clift was alive. He wanted to protect his friend, but those images quietly exposed the brutal cost of fame and the pressure to stay perfect. In 1993, Roddy released Double Exposure, Take 4. This book revealed his 50-year friendship with Elizabeth Taylor. She opened up about everything: her addictions, her weight struggles, her marriages. She said, "I don't just love someone, I possess them." That was how she described Richard Burton. The photos were heartbreaking. One showed her without makeup, another crying after a divorce. The book even included a picture she had taken of Roddy, a symbol of their deep trust. They had met as child actors in 1943, and their friendship lasted until his death. Roddy called Elizabeth every single day just to check in. He was her safe place. His voice can even be heard in the background of her old private recordings. Now, part of HBO's Elizabeth, The Lost Tapes, when he was dying from cancer in 1998, Elizabeth flew back to Los Angeles and visited him every day until the end. After he died, she held a private memorial at her home. Back in 1957, Moran O'Hara was almost destroyed by a fake scandal from Confidential magazine. They claimed she had done shameful things in the back of a theater, but Roddy stood by her. He had known her since 1941 when they starred in How Green Was My Valley. He photographed her during the court case and stayed close while her brother proved she hadn't even been in the country. The case was a turning point. The case was a turning point. It helped bring down the magazine that had hurt so many innocent stars. Roddy also hosted secret Malibu parties where closeted actors like Rock Hudson and Tab Hunter could finally be themselves. They laughed, shared secrets, and felt safe. Roddy filmed some of it, not for scandal, but to keep a record of who they really were, away from the lies and the masks Hollywood forced them to wear. And then there was Judy Garland's comeback in A Star Is Born. The budget was $5 million, huge for 1954, but the studio cut 27 minutes without the director's consent. That decision ruined Garland's chances at an Oscar and damaged her career forever. Roddy saw it all. He photographed her breakdowns, her arguments, her pain. Today, that film is considered a masterpiece. Back then, it nearly broke her. Roddy captured it because he never looked away from the truth. Roddy McDowall was more than just a Hollywood actor. By the early 1970s, he had quietly built something that even major studios didn't have: his own private archive of movies. By 1974, he owned 337 different films. Out of those, 160 were rare 16mm prints, and they were the heart of his collection. He had movies like Citizen Canaan, Lassie Come Home, and My Friend Flicker, all stored in his North Hollywood garage. Many of these were bought straight from the studios themselves, who were throwing away original film reels to clear space. Roddy even bought Errol Flynn's entire personal collection from Flynn's widow, including unfinished films and home movies. He spent thousands transferring them to Sony Amatic magnetic tape, which came before VHS and Betamax because he believed tape would last longer than film. Roddy didn't collect to make money. He only charged friends what he remembered paying. One time he said he spent exactly $75 for 3 films. His garage wasn't just a storage room. It became a mini museum of lost cinema. But everything changed on December 18, 1974. That day, the FBI showed up with agents and trucks. They raided Rod's house and seized 160 film reels and over 1,000 videotapes. The government claimed the entire collection was worth $5,542. It was the biggest film piracy raid the FBI had ever done. The agents took prints of his own movies, including Planet of the Apes, Tamlin, and Lassie Come Home. The tapes were boxed, labeled, and kept like treasure. But behind the scenes, the government was building a case that Roddy wasn't just collecting. He was copying and distributing films illegally. Roddy knew the situation was dangerous. Instead of fighting, he chose to help. He gave the FBI names. He told them Rock Hudson had given him a print of Giant, the film starring James Dean. He also named Arthur P. Jacobs from the Planet of the Apes series, plus Dick Martin and Mel Torme. Other names were blacked out in official documents. People were shocked. One fellow collector said it broke Rod's heart to lose his films, but what hurt even more was betraying his friends. Years later, even Robert Osborne, a respected journalist and Roddy's close friend, said he had no idea Roddy had cooperated. If Rock Hudson ever found out, he never mentioned it. What made this even more painful is how it all started. Roddy had begun collecting in the 1960s, not as a pirate, but as a protector. Studios were throwing out old films they thought were worthless. Roddy believed these films needed to be saved. He wasn't trying to profit. He said owning copies helped him study acting. He even kept a print of his death scene from Escape from the Planet of the Apes to improve his work. But the law didn't care. When he shared or sold tapes to other collectors, even at cost, he was breaking copyright rules. His lawyer later explained that Roddy didn't own the rights to many of the prints. 20th Century Fox and other studios still did. By June 1975, the government dropped the case. Roddy wasn't charged. No trial, no jail time, but the damage was done. He stopped hosting movie nights. Some friends never came back. Even though he was cleared, his name was forever tied to the raid. He tried to move on by helping preserve films legally. He joined the Academy's board and later helped create the National Film Preservation Board. In the 1990s, he even worked on restoring Cleopatra from 1963. What began as a secret passion became a public warning. There's a fine line between saving something and stealing it. There was another side of Roddy's life that most people didn't know. In 1951, Elizabeth Taylor introduced him to Montgomery Clift. The two men fell deeply in love. Roddy even moved to New York, just to be close to him. For 2.5 years, Roddy stopped acting almost completely. All he cared about was Montgomery. But the relationship didn't last. When Clift tried to end things, Roddy was devastated. He tried to take his own life. He survived, and amazingly, he never held it against Clift. He stayed by his side until the end. They later acted together in The Defector, which became Clift's last movie. Clift once said he could never have finished it without Rod's support. Roddy lived during a time when being openly gay in Hollywood could ruin your career. In the 1950s, gossip magazines like Confidential were exposing stars left and right. Rock Hudson nearly got outed. Agent Henry Wilson, who managed many gay actors, traded secrets to protect some clients by exposing others. He even used off-duty cops to scare away blackmailers. Roddy chose to stay quiet in public, but behind closed doors, he created a safe space. His home became a sanctuary where gay and straight celebrities could relax without fear. He kept people's secrets safe.